Let's remove some blood from Mel Gibson's face. I was recently hired by an agency here in Los Angeles who is doing TV promos for the movie FATMAN. And for whatever reason, they needed to remove some of the blood off of Mel Gibson's face, but also on a couple of other shots, they needed to turn the blood into something other than what looked like blood. And so the obvious thing to do was to look like he fell in a pile of shit. So let's hop into After Effects. I'm going to show you how I did that with Mocha. Okay, so here we have our 3 shots. I've broken them up into individual comps. There's this shot of Mel right here, and as I stop this, you're going to be able to see as I zoom in here. So I needed to remove the blood spots off of Mel's face, and then in these other shots, I needed to change this blood into something that looked that didn't look like blood. And it was decided that the easiest thing to do would to make it look like he fell in a pile of horse shit. So that was kind of the challenge here, was to do all of that. So I used Mocha for all 3 of these shots, and I'm gonna show you this shot right here. So this is the after shot, as you can see right here. This is the roto work that I did, and as you can see right here, this is the roto for that particular shot. Now, you will see right here in the effects control panel that I have Mocha as the first plugin that's applied there, and then after that I have hue and saturation. One of the great things about this particular shot is the coat is white. So if I completely desaturate, let's see, this is the magentas. I completely desaturated the magentas. I completely desaturated the reds. Let's see, in the master, okay, I left the master to there. So I took out the reds and I took out the magentas, and that gave me this kind of brown poo color on his shirt. So let's hop into Mocha right now, and I kind of show you how I went about rotoing this here. So let's open up Mocha, and I will update later. So here you can see right here, I broke this up into kind of 3 kind of paper doll shapes right here. So here's the lower back right here. And in this particular instance, for the lower back, I really kind of had to keyframe the shape pretty much all the way through it. For this, for the upper back here, let's turn these on. For the upper back here, I actually only a few keyframes here at the end where he really kind of moves. And then we have the arm, which is also keyframed all the way throughout it. Now, the reason I went ahead and used Mocha for this is because Mocha did a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of the tracking of the shot. The keyframes here are minute adjustments. Only because I needed to kind of have a little bit more precision than what I was able to get. So let's do this. Let's close, you know what? No, actually, let's delete these. So let's start over. So I'm gonna remove these, put these in the trash bin. Actually, get rid of them there. Okay, so let's start from scratch here. So the first thing that I did here was I tracked kind of the upper back of him, and I just went ahead. I didn't make this really all that precise because I knew that I was going to cut this up into some smaller pieces and stuff like that. So I tried to get, kind of a rough shape going on here. And let's see here, let's relax this a little bit. I did actually kind of do a little bit of a shape here. So, and I left pretty much everything to the default settings right here. And then I just literally just went through and I tracked this. And as you can see, it does a pretty stinking good job of doing kind of the bulk of the work there. So as we get, actually, I don't think I'm going to do any keyframes here on this particular shot. And then I went through this process with the arm as well. So I went and I turned this off. Actually, I'm going to turn that back on so I can see it, but I'm not going to track it. I created a shape around the arm here as well too. And I kind of overlapped this shape area a little bit. And let's see, we'll get that and call that there. And let's relax some of that. Okay. And you can hold down Z to zoom in, and then I went ahead and moved some of the points here. I wanted to actually overlap some of this right here. Hold down X key to grab the hand tool and kind of move, and then I move these little points so that they kind of overlap this other shape right here. Hold down the X key to move. And again, right here, kind of on the edges, I didn't get really all that precise because it was kind of be quick and kind of blend in here pretty easily. If you hit the asterisk key over on the numpad, that will zoom to fit. And so then I just again left all of the stuff at default, and I tracked that. Again, that did a pretty good job of getting everything until we get to the right to the end here, where it kind of gets off track a little bit. And this is where I went in and kind of manually did some keyframing. Oh, I didn't start at the beginning, so let me track the beginning there. There we go. So the beginning of that is tracked. So right here is kind of where it starts to get off track, literally. So let's zoom in here. And let me get these points in and hug that. One of the things that you can do, one of the newer features in Mocha Pro is the snap to edges feature. So you can either select a point there and do Alt S and it will snap to the edge there, or you can actually hold the S key down as you grab a point, and it will snap as well too. So this actually makes for a really, really quick, I want to stop that. It makes for a really quick selection of, or movement of points, I should say. So there is that, and then we're going to move there. Okay, again, this moved off track quite a bit, so let's move this in here. I'm going to zoom in and get some of these points in here. Let's hold down the S key and snaps right there, which is good. Hold down the X key and we will get the hand tool. There we go for that shot. And then we have this last one right here, which gets off a little bit as well too. Let's just move this over. Let's grab this point here and that point right there. Okay, so we're just I'm not gonna focus on the lower back like I did in the other shot, but that's basically it right there. And so if you close out of Mocha and you come back into the interface here, as you can see, yeah, there we go. Those are two shapes right there. So I already have this mat set. So this would be normally what it would be. And you can view your mat here, and it's showing my visible layers right here. And so I just go ahead and I applied that matte. And again, I didn't have the hue saturation on there, but see, now I have that and I'm putting that over that particular shot. So when I put the hue and saturation filter on top of that, it does a pretty good job of, yeah, I don't even need that lower back there anymore, like I did originally. So there's that shot right there. And then I did the same exact process for this shot right here. And if you look at the mat, there's the mat right there. So I'm going to zoom into this shot right here. So that's the mat right there. And if we solo that, so this one was a little bit trickier because we had this piece of wood coming in front of the shot. So this required a little more, kind of finer rotoscoping. Let me open up Mocha here. I'll do this later. So yeah, as you can see right here, I had a lot more, I drew a lot more shapes around here to kind of get this to look a little bit better, a little bit more perfect. But that's basically, it's the same process of what I just showed you. So I'm not really going to run through this. So what I want to do is I want to come over to this shot right here, and I want to talk about painting the blood out on the face. As you can, let's zoom in to this shot so we can see this a little bit better right here. So this is the base layer right here, no effects applied to it. And these are the two areas where I used Mocha to remove the blood spots on his face. As you can see there, those are the shots kind of matted out. Now we're not seeing them go through the entire shot, which I'll show you here in a second. But so there's that. Okay, so let me take those off, and we'll go ahead and do this. I'll show you how this is done. So I'm going to use this base layer right here. Actually, I'm going to duplicate that base layer, and then I'm going to apply Mocha to this layer here, Mocha Pro. And let's jump into Mocha. And the first thing I'm going to do with this particular shot is I'm going to find a frame here, I think around frame 5 right here. And as I hold down the Z key to zoom in, and then I hold down the X key to get the hand tool to kind of pan this over. This shot right here, or this frame right here, is where we see the blood on his face the clearest. There's no occlusions, no anything. So I'm going to start on this particular frame. And one of the first things I'm going to do, as you can see with this shot, the arm passes in front of the face. And I'm actually going to draw kind of a roto shape around his arm, just so I can tell Mocha to kind of hold that out when I start to track his face. As you can kind of see right here, and as the arm kind of comes in, so we don't really need to track all of this right here, as you will be able to see. But I'm still going to draw a shape around the arm to kind of get a holdout mat, if you will. We'll do that, and then let's kind of relax this a little bit. And I'm going to take off shear, and I'm going to, let's track one frame back and another frame. And that did a pretty decent job all the way through. And then I'll just go through that whole thing. Okay, so that did a pretty good job of what I needed it to do, which is basically just kind of track the shape of his arm. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of keyframes in here to make sure that, because this is going to cover it, this is going to go in front of his face. So make sure those keyframes are nice and solid. Yeah, that's good. Yep. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's going to be the arm, and that's going to be in the foreground. And then let's go back to frame 5 here. I'm going to draw a shape around his face. And this is going to be the area in which I'm going to do the remove in. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So I'm going to relax, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good actually right there. So this is going to be his face. Now I don't need to track the arm again, so I'm going to turn that wheel off on his arm. And then I'm going to track backwards a little bit here. And it kind of stops right there, which is kind of fine. I think, well, I want to go to about right here. So about right here is where I'm going to do this spot right here. And so I don't need, well, actually here, let's do this. Let me take the shear off of this and track one. No, that's not going to do it. Oh, I know what to do. Okay, let's go to a small motion here. And there we go. That's what I wanted. I wanted to get to that frame right there, and I'm actually going to trim this layer right there because I don't really need to go any further than that for this particular spot. And now I'm going to track this forward. And let's go back to large motion, and there we go. Okay, and that's fine if it ends there on that layer because I think we're out of frame by now. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's the last frame. That's the last frame that we're going to see it. I don't need to worry about that frame. So I'm going to trim it there as well too. And I'm going to go back to frame 5, which is right here. And I'm gonna make sure that that shape stays, yep, that shape stays within his face, which is fine, okay. So now we have the face. Now I'm gonna actually go in and I'm gonna remove this particular spot right here. So I'm gonna take the X-spline, I'm gonna draw a little shape around that blood spot right there. And let's go ahead and relax that a little bit. I don't have to be perfect on this, but so that's fine right there. And then I'm gonna let's rename this to spot 1. Okay, so I'm gonna link this to the face track. So that should follow the face track that I just did, which it does, which is good. Let me make sure as I go through the rest of this shot that it stays roughly over that spot, and it moved right there. So let's kind of put a little keyframe there, and then let's go here and let's move that whole spot. I just want to make sure that it's over that blood spot right there. Okay, so that worked out pretty well. There we go. Good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the remove module, and I'm going to create some clean plates here. So these clean plates are basically going to be the frames that I'm going to take into Photoshop and paint out that blood, and then Mocha will do its magic and replace that spot right there with the painted out stuff from Photoshop. So I'm going to create a clean plate here, and I'm going to drop this on the desktop, and I'm going to move forward, and let's find another clean plate. Let's go to the end here, which is right there, and I'm going to create a clean plate for that. And then let's go all the way to the beginning. And actually, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to create a clean plate right there, and then I'm going to open up Photoshop, and let's go to the desktop. Let's bring these into Photoshop right there. Okay, so now I have this as this is frame 5. So I'm going to zoom into his face so I can see this right here. And I'm going to duplicate this layer, and then I'm going to get the healing brush tool, and I am going to kind of sample another part of his cheek and kind of paint that spot out. Let me go ahead and close out of that, save that, yes. And then let's go to that same spot right there. We'll duplicate the layer, and I am going to sample part of the cheek, and let's go ahead and paint kind of that out. We'll call that good, and we'll save that, yes. And then this last frame right here as well too. I will duplicate the layer, and then I will get the healing brush tool, which is already selected, and then paint this out as well. Yeah, actually, I'm going to let me actually get that spot right there. Okay, yep, I'm going to call that done. And I am going to save that, yes, and okay. And then we're going to close out of Photoshop and close out of that. And we're going to come back in here to Mocha, and I'm going to click on here, use clean plate exclusively. And as I do that, what you're going to be able to see here is now that when I hit render, it covers up that spot, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I don't need to worry about it here because the arm covers up that spot right there. But if I hit render, it would do the same thing. So let's hit render all the way through. And as you can see, now what you're going to be noticing here, let me turn off. You're going to be noticing some weird kind of blending. And that's because I don't have any of the blending options turned on. So what you can do is you can actually go in here and turn on linear. And so like if I render this particular frame out, that doesn't look really good. So let's go to interpolate, and let's render that out. That looks better. So I'll bet you if I use interpolate all the way through here, it'll look the best. So let's render all of that out. And I think because of the lighting change and stuff like that, yeah, see that looks really good right there. So let's close out of Mocha, and I'm going to go to the module renders here. I'm going to select remove, and I'm going to check that box, and it's going to render that out. Now, one thing I want to do is I do actually want to go back into Mocha, and I want to make sure that I'm going to select the Uber key here, and I'm going to turn on motion blur. I want to make sure that motion blur is on for this entire layer, because that will blend things a lot better. So let me close out of this. Let me save. So now when I go back into, if you can see right here, let's go up to matte, and then we'll apply the matte. So that we're only seeing, we're seeing all the visible layers right now, but let's turn off arm and let's turn off face, and we'll click OK. And so now we're only seeing the spot. And as you can see right here, it applied the appropriate amount of motion blur onto that particular spot. So it blends a lot nicer with everything else that's going on around it. And I did the same thing for spot number 2. So that's how I went about removing the blood from Mel Gibson's face. That's it for this video. If you got value out of it, I'd appreciate it if you gave me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And don't forget, if you'd like to get 15% off of Mocha Pro, Continuum, or Sapphire, go to boriseffects.com and use my promo code BMotion at checkout, and you'll get yourself 15% off of your purchase. Well, that's it for me. Thank you so much. Bye for now.